Hello and welcome to another episode of the TouchyGooners podcast. It's your boy Dan Coogs on hosting duty. I got with me Shell, Mr. SV Carbaholic. How you doing, my man?
Yes, brother. What's going on, man? All good, all good, all good.
All good in the hood, man. A week without any football, a week without
Aye,
Arsenal.
bro.
And
I don't know.
life is kind of
Listen,
calm, you know.
brother, I don't know how we're gonna do this summer. It is cracking already, bro. And no international. I'm not watching this Nations League, bro. I have no
Yeah,
interest in
I'm
watching
not
this
on
league.
it. Not on it at all.
I'm watching Love Island when it starts next week, bro. That's what
Yeah,
man's
Love
watching.
Island, bro. That's what's gonna hold us. No international tournament. It should have
I
been a World
can't,
Cup.
brother.
Should have been a World Cup this summer.
I can't bring myself to watch this Nations League, bro. Even KDB was like, listen. He said, "I've got no motivation for it, bro. I want to go on holiday." You see Ben White pulled out the England squad, man, straight away on holiday. I don't blame these man, bro.
Bro, Ben White saw his boys lining up that Ibiza trip, and he
Brother,
said, "No, I can't
listen.
miss that Ocean Beach. I can't miss that zoo project." You know what I mean? This, that, and the other. I've just got the Scotland Ukraine game on in the background.
Yeah,
now. I've not been watching it at all.
It's nearly done, yeah.
Yeah, 83 minutes played. You've been telling me about one of our links, Zinchenko.
Yeah,
How's he been looking in this game?
We got two of our links in there in this World Cup qualifier in it. So yeah, Ukraine have bopped Scotland off the park, man. Proper. They're playing like a flat 4-3-3. Zinchenko left centre mid, Malinowski right centre mid. These guys have been hooping. Obviously, we've been linked with Zinchenko. I don't know if that's as left back cover or as a centre mid option. I ain't really watched him centre mid much. And obviously, under Pep, he plays as a left back, but inverted. So it's kind of obviously like he's playing as a midfielder anyway. But here we're actually seeing him in midfield, in proper like midfield, like a free left 8 role. And he's dictated this whole game, man. Him and Malinowski from Atalanta, who's a baller as well. So they've absolutely blammed Scotland. 2-1's not even doing it justice, if I'm to be totally honest. They might not even end up winning. If they don't end up winning this game, they're going to kick themselves because they've been a lot better than Scotland. Zinchenko is very, very nice technically. Very, very nice technically, actually. Like I'm sure obviously he plays for Pep. You have to be comfy on the ball anyway, but it surprised me how decent he is technically, and he's got a bit of agility to him as well. It's not just he's not a stiff player. Like he can actually move with the ball at his feet. So maybe obviously I'm not going to say I've judged him harshly, because I just didn't really have a high opinion of my man, just because when you're playing in that sort of City team, it's so easy to get drowned by everything else that goes on around him in it. But he's technically very, very nice, and I think obviously because most people see him in that sort of inverted role for City, they don't see what he was like previously. From what I'm being told, he played centre mid for PSV before City signed him. So he's obviously very, very technically adept. So and he's probably another one, if the link is true, that Arteta knows. I saw Charles Watts say these links have come from a lot of the Northern reporters. So it might have kudos to it, compared to the Hickey links, where a lot of them are Italian based. We've not really seen any.
You're saying the Hickey links are looking higgy, yeah?
Boy, they look very, very Hickey, because you've got Italian reports saying, "Oh, this guy looks like he's
imminent.
The
deal's about to be done." Yeah,
but I've not seen Ornstein tweet one time about my man, bro.
Yeah,
I've not seen it once. So.
Yeah, his name's not been mentioned by any of the UK guys.
None of the UK guys. Charles Watts has not mentioned him. None of these guys are mentioning him. So I'm just. It's one of those ones you think like you take with a pinch of salt. And he's been playing right wing back this game. He's looked okay. Obviously, this is my first time properly watching him. He's okay, but he doesn't look like when we're talking about, we want competition for Tierney. Not just someone who's a backup, someone who can challenge him. I'm not. I mean,
how does he look? How does he look compared to someone like Cedric playing right wing back?
He it's just he looks okay. Like, do you know what I mean? It's probably one you have to watch more, just because one, he's playing at right wing back in it, so it's probably they say he's 2-footed and he's comfy there in it, but I don't know, man. Maybe I don't know how much to make of it, just because they've been so outplayed by Ukraine this game. They've technically they look so far inferior to Ukraine. It's crazy, man. So I don't know how harsh or how critical I should be with regards to him. But if you're asking me for my actual opinion based on what I've seen, I've not been like oh my God, sign this guy like now. Do you know what I mean? Based on what I've seen, if I'm just judging purely on today's game, I'm like, sign Zinchenko because he's actually techie, proper
He's looking techie. The thing is with Zinchenko, right? So like, I've only seen him play centre mid, like actual centre mid international football, right? And I try not to put too much stocks in international football just because, obviously it's not as intense. Do you know what I mean? We see a lot of players, come into the international game and light it up and look like hoopers. Højbjerg looked very, very good in that Euros, but we see Højbjerg week in, week out. He's not that player when he plays in the week in week in, week out in the Premier League. You look at the likes of Xhaka, you look at the likes of Paul Pogba even. He's one of the supreme technicians. His best performances in the past 3-4 years have come in a France shirt, not in a Man United shirt. So I'm looking at it and I'm saying, look, if you are actually this good at CM, why does Pep not trust you there? Like not once, as he played him in centre mid. The same sort of like, with Fabian Delph, he used to do the same thing, right? Where he used to play left back, inverted left back, but wasn't really trusted to play centre mid for Man City. Similar to Maitland-Niles for Arsenal under Arteta, where he was doing that sort of hybrid wing back / centre mid position, and he's not really been trusted in that centre mid position by Arteta as well. So I'm a bit apprehensive. Even though people, from what I've seen on Twitter, what you've said, Zinchenko is looking like he's played very well today, and he generally plays very well in midfield for Ukraine. From the matches that I've watched them, Ukraine, they're full of. It's a very, very technical team, full of technicians in there. You mentioned Malinovsky. There's another guy whose name begins with M in there as well. We know about Yarmolenko and all these guys. They're cultured technicians, cultured ballers. So I will never doubt his technical ability, but does he have that 360 ability to turn and face, receive on the half turn, receive on the run? Does he have the creativity to play passes into the box? Those are the question marks that I have, because that's really what we're looking for in that left centre mid position. Dr. Lee, welcome. Long time no speak. And how you doing?
Yo, I'm good, man. I'm good. Well, actually, I'm okay, man. I'm okay. I'm stressed out by this transfer window nonsense, man. It's rattling me still.
Yeah, so the thing is, we're just talking about Zinchenko, centre mid. So, let's get your thoughts on this, because I'm assuming you've not been watching the football, but...
No, I've been watching the football now.
Yeah, so how does that link? How is that moving you? Is it moving you, or are you, just let us know your thoughts.
It's context dependent, okay? So, if Zinchenko is a replacement for Ainsley Maitland-Niles, I'm having it all day long. In the squad, versatile, can cover a few positions. He's basically an upgrade on Ainsley. He can play left back, can play centre mid, cover where we need to. If he's one of our main midfield signings, I'm not really feeling that still. I don't think he moves the needle enough for us. And he's not I keep going on about it. Everyone's flipping getting on to me. He's not the profile of player I want to see in that position. I want to see someone, when I pull up their 23andMe, that they are from certain areas.
West Africa, Central Africa.
80%. 80%. Nah, not that. It's just I want someone who's athletic, innit? It doesn't matter where they're from. I just want someone I'm fed up of worrying about playing teams that have got a bit of legs in the middle of the field and thinking, oh, we're going to get overrun today, and it always happens. And I just don't want to see that no more. And I feel like the way the Premier League is going, it's only going in one direction. And we've got some decent technical players. We need to increase the quality in the final third, and we need to increase the quality of the athleticism in the squad. If we don't do that, we're not going anywhere. So yeah, big.
Do you know what? Let's dive into that a little bit, right? Because I think it's an interesting discussion to be had, because we were talking about this a little bit in the group chat this week about sort of what direction our midfield needs to take, what direction the team needs to take. We've seen Arteta say about we need to increase the number of goals that we scored. We need to increase the physicality of the team. So, Dr. Leroy, tell me about your ideal centre mid that we bring in.
So obviously, I think we need two centre mids. I'm not going to lie. In terms of, I still don't feel that I can find one centre mid that has all the attributes that we need. But the primary centre midfielder, I feel, needs to be someone like in the mold of a Basuma. Do you know what? I think it would be Basuma plus. It would be in the mold in terms of skill set of someone like that, Seko Fofana. I've only watched one game and some clips and stuff, but in terms of his skill set and his attributes, in terms of his got the physical attributes, but then he's got quite a good offensive attributes with it. That would be quite nice. But in the mold of a Basuma as well, someone who's a ball winner, someone who can run, someone who's going to allow us to swallow teams. Because I feel like Arsenal dominate games in spells. We never have complete control of the game. We always lose control of the game at some point, but that's something that's been slowly improving through this Arteta tenure with the increase in technical quality, particularly like the guys at the back, in terms of Ben White, Gabriel, Tierney, the addition of Partey as well. But I feel like the next step is allow us to completely control games because we're trying to be City, aren't we? We're trying to be City like, and City, when they're on their game, other teams don't get a sniff. Not a damn thing. So for me, I feel like the next step of that is to get someone who will constantly win the ball back, constantly be able to keep pressure on teams. So we're completely dominating the game. So Basuma, Seko Fofana, that type of player is who I want to see really in the team. I understand the need for passes and control like your Shakas and stuff like that, but I just feel like the way the Premier League's going, that's not what's going to help us. I feel like we've got enough of the technical quality in midfield with Partey and Odegaard, and we really need that athlete there, but especially because our front line is quite lightweight as well. And even if we bring in Jesus, that doesn't really seem like a dominant front line athletically. So where is the athleticism coming from? We must get that in midfield, in my opinion. And I think that's a really important next step in our development. You're on mute.
You're on mute, Dan.
I was gonna say, yeah, that's really interesting. I think it's as I was saying before, I think it's important to sort of that the manager and Edu understand sort of the profiles that they want in there, right? Because I think you're right? So like thinking back to last season in the Champions League, right, where Chelsea were playing against Real Madrid, and you saw it where Kante and Kovacic were fit and firing. Madrid's midfield couldn't deal with them, right? Regardless of, the three absolute beast of technicians that they have in there. So, Luka Modric, who people are, he's putting in the conversation for one of the best midfielders of all time. Toni Kroos, who I think he's averaged over 90% pass completion in the Champions League for the past like 6 campaigns or something I saw yesterday. And then Casemiro, who is incredibly tidy on the ball, etc., etc. But they couldn't live with Chelsea over 2 legs because of, the form and the legs that Kante and Kovacic had in terms of being able to cover 10 yards, press, and win the ball back. They couldn't really live with the Chelsea press. And you saw it again this year where that same 3 couldn't really cope with it. Camavinga comes on this time with a bit of the PMP. He's got that 23. He meets that 23andMe criteria that Dr. Leroy wants in there from midfielder. And
yes.
The game flipped on its head, right? So I do think it's really important to have that physicality. But again, one thing that I would like to point out as well is that I also think at the moment we don't actually have. You said that we have the technical quality in Odegaard and Partey, but I'm not sure that we have the required level of technical ability in that midfield either. So I think in an ideal world, I would be signing a PMP guy and a guy who is, sort of top level technically for me, because I look at it in Odegaard in some of the games this season where we've been under pressure and we need him to be sort of this, I guess, press resistant release valve. And I think he's quite easy to press actually, So when he's got his back to goal, I don't think he receives that well under pressure. I think sometimes it happens, but I think it's very inconsistent from him. And I think what we need in that left side as well is another sort of release valve on the ball where, a ball coming to their feet and they can evade a couple men and come out the other side and carry the ball and get us moving the other way. So, I do think that physicality and that ability to cover ground is important, but I think we also need an increase in technical ability there because, when at the moment, I think Xhaka's done a good job. I think he's had a good season, nominated for player of the season, this, that, and the other. But he's also very easy to press because he's so one-footed. You know which way he's going to turn out. You know he can't dribble. You know he can't carry the ball. So we just get blammed in all of these games. So, I think it's twofold what we need. It's twofold. But yeah, Sean, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I kind of agree with what you're saying. I think, in an ideal world, it's a combination of both, as both you and Leroy said. You have a PMP option and you have, a very, very technical option. Because where I sort of disagree with Leroy is that I don't think our midfield is very, very technical. I mean, obviously we have, I think Partey, is the best technical midfielder we have. I think we have Odegaard, who has a good technical level, but, we've spoken about what he can be like under pressure. And, I'm not even necessarily convinced this like tech versus PMP. It should always be a bit of both. And, when we look back to, Wenger teams, that we're talking early Emirates era that that weren't full with PMP, but what they could do, they could handle different game states better. So that's why I said even if it's not an overly PMP option, it's just someone who can turn defense into attack, who can handle different game states. So if we're saying we're trying to be like City, and City have stacked their team with technicians, I don't see why we wouldn't try and at least emulate that a bit more. I don't think our technical level is good enough, especially in the second to third phase. So I think we need to do a bit better there. When I say that, I'm talking about guys like Rosicky and Wilshere, guys who could who were at the intensity level but could also carry the ball 40-50 yards as well. So I would love to see if we can find midfielders like that, who had the requisite energy levels but also had the right technical levels as well. So because that's essentially City aren't fighting teams on a PMP physical level. Do you know what I mean? They're not outworking them, they're sustaining and controlling teams. And how they're doing it is they're winning the ball back early because their lines in between are compact, and as a team they're pressing high, they're pushing high. So they're not relying on the physical aspects, they're relying a lot more on the technical aspects. And then when the ball does turn over, they have the guys in place to press them and to win it back. And I think that's maybe why I think Arteta might, this is where the Tielemans stuff comes in, because if we look at it, I think the structure under Arteta is good. We can all sit here and say, we're compact, we're hard to break down, we're hard to, if you look at it holistically, how many goals have we conceded in transition under Arteta? I can't really think of many, just because we're not that sort of team. And why do we not concede transition goals? Because of the way Arteta utilizes his fullbacks. Do you know what I mean? Especially since we've gone to 4-3-3. We were criticizing Tierney early, before he got injured as well, because Tierney was starting to play as an inverted fullback. So you had sort of both fullbacks inverting. So what that tends to happen is that when you're now pushing the centre mids high, these two fullbacks are, they're inwards to protect against the transition. So you have loads of players as a cluster, very similar to City in the centre of the pitch. So if the ball does break down, if the ball does turn over, you've got the numbers there centrally to quickly overload and win the ball back in case we do transition. So I think that's where we might be able to take slightly more risks in terms of having, another technical option in midfield, which is initially I was more on Leroy's side in terms of having a PMP option, but I need it doesn't sit well with me, and it's not Arsenal heritage to have just one technician in the team in like Odegaard, man. I need another in there, bro. I need another who can, watching, because obviously I hear what you say, and when you were just speaking about the Chelsea versus Real Madrid stuff last season, but even I was looking this weekend in the Champions League final, Liverpool quicker, faster, more explosive against a slow, tired midfield, but Real Madrid didn't look like they were a slow and tired aging midfield. They managed to control Liverpool. They managed to keep them at arm's length. They were able to sustain. They picked their moments better in the game. So I don't know. I think it's a long-winded answer of saying I just think it's a balance. But actually, I probably slightly moved over more to the other side now, and I actually want another technician back in the team. So if we're going to be like City, I want. Obviously, Tielemans wouldn't be my shout, but I can understand. Whereas before I actually couldn't understand, but I can actually understand it a bit more now. So I'm not.
completely disagree.
You disagree? Yeah, go
I
on.
massively disagree. And I'm going to rebut a couple of points, just a couple of your points.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, it's bare shit. So, you saw about Liverpool, the Real Madrid game. We would all say that the Real Madrid were lucky to win that game. Yes or no?
I don't know.
The
I don't think they
final
were.
or the final?
Yeah. Who played
I don't
better?
think they were lucky to win. I think.
Who played better?
I think.
I wouldn't say that. I personally think that that's the one tie in the knockout stages that I would say Madrid deserved to win.
What? Really?
I agree.
Yeah.
I thought, especially like first half, I thought Liverpool tried to come out all guns blazing to try and blitz Madrid, and they did have they had that Mane save which Courtois made a really good save from, but I think Madrid managed them well. And in the second half, I actually thought Madrid was a better team. I thought Madrid controlled, they stemmed the tide so much better, and they managed to. I think they nullified Liverpool really well, and they did.
Yeah,
so.
and I think it's the first half where Dr. Leroy, I think your point is strongest, to be honest. Where Liverpool they created chance after chance. You looked at that first half, you thought, yeah, boom, it was going to be a 3-0 job in the second half if they carried on playing like that. So I hear you, and I think. But if you look at the composition of Liverpool's midfield now, where you got Thiago, you got Fabinho, and then I guess Henderson doesn't quite fit that mold. But I think if they had potentially Wijnaldum in there instead of Thiago, I'm not sure that they could generate that same level of performance. Do you get what I mean?
So fair enough. Now I can understand that. Now a couple more points I was going to say. If you say like you don't think our midfield is particularly technical. If you take every team's two best midfielders, what teams or how many teams have two midfielders or their top two are better technically than Odegaard and Partey?
I wouldn't. So I would include Partey in there because I think Partey at his best, there's probably not a 6 I would take above Partey in the league. That's my standpoint. That's my current standpoint.
But even as a 2, how many teams their top two midfielders are technically better than Odegaard and Partey?
I hear that.
You could. I mean, City have got KDB and Bernardo as the 8th.
Yeah. So City is one. I'll give them that. Outside of that, who else?
No, the thing is, I hear that, and I hear what you're saying, but I think if you look at, say, let's take Odegaard for instance, yeah, because I think Partey he's in an argument. I'm not putting him top 5 midfielders because like he's not available enough for me. But I think when he's fit, I think top 5 he can be in that discussion. Do you know what I mean? Without turning heads. I don't think it's an obscene thing to say when you talk about pure ability, right? And what this guy can do on the ball. But then when I look at Odegaard, I think he's got technique, right? But I think he lacks in a couple of key areas. That means that we might need a more physical person there, if that makes sense, right? So you look at Man City's midfield. So what Sean was saying about they don't really blam teams physically, yeah. But their 2 8s are for most of the time is KDB and Bernardo Silva, yeah. And so you look at Bernardo Silva, that guy can sprint and run.
Sorry, Dan. I'm gonna let you come back. And that's the thing. It's not even about the physicality, or there's more agility. I think that's the word I'm actually looking for with Odegaard. He doesn't look, as agile at times. It's that ability just to, I don't know, man. And this is what I mean when I think of guys like Wilshere, Rosicky, Nasri. These guys, they were loose, bro. That they could just. Any
angles you can play the ball into.
Their hips were flexible. They could go either way. There are times where just Odegaard looks just a bit stiff. I'm like, bro, move with the ball.
What? He's got poor core. I was going to say Odegaard. I don't think it's a technical issue. I think he's got poor core strength. I think his core strength is absolutely appalling. It's abysmal, and I think that's why he gets pressed a lot. I think, and this is why he can't. When you're saying agile, he hasn't got he's not a good rotator. Because his core strength is absolutely terrible. So when someone comes into the back of him, it puts him off balance and he can't do anything. He hasn't got the actual core strength to hold people off, and he hasn't got the rotational strength and the core strength to actually twist out of things quickly. So that's the reason. It's not a technical issue. And then the next thing I was going to say is Man City. People talk about they're not the most physical team. Outside of Rodri, Gundogan, they can all run. KDB is a physical monster.
That was my next point.
Physical monster, absolute beast. Physically underrated.
He's underrated.
Ronaldo is not strong, but his core strength is like Sterling. His core strength is unreal, and people can't push him off the ball. And he's fast as fuck. When I'm telling you, he can sprint in over short distances. He's insane. He's absolutely insane. So when people say City's team is not physical, or City's team is not athletic, Rodri as well, he's not the best mover, etc. But obviously he can go all ways. But he's a fucking unit. City's actual centre midfield is fucking athletic. I don't care what no one says.
Yeah, that's
an athletic centre midfield, and their midfield athleticism is better than ours. Because, for example, Partey is someone whose athleticism is overrated because he's not that athletic.
Yeah,
he really isn't. Like,
and you can tell he's not because. Ask him to play 15 games in a row. He's hammies though, man.
Yeah, it's one of those where stereotypes take over because his technical quality is actually a lot better than his physical quality.
Yep, he's not athletic. And then, so obviously Xhaka is robust in a similar way with Rodri is, but he hasn't got the press position because he's too one-footed. Odegaard, in my opinion, technically is fantastic, but the reason he gets pressed and the reason he's got issues in terms of receiving they're not technical issues. In my opinion, they're physical issues which need to be addressed. But they're not going to be addressed. He's not going to get it now. He's too old. But either way,
I've seen pictures of him on Instagram, doing resistance running and all that stuff. So I'm hoping he's working on that core, boy. I'm hoping he is.
And I just feel like, yes, you do both. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying chuck away all the technical ability but I feel that if we put one player into the team to make us better. If you put a physical player in that team, that would take us to a much higher level than if you put a technical player in that team. So question here, yeah. So for me, if you were to say just one player to put in right now, my choice would be Frankie de Jong. That's who I would put in at left centre mid for Arsenal because when we talk about he's not what you would describe as your stereotypical physical player, but De Jong covers ground and he's got very underrated PMP and he's also technically fantastic. Now, obviously, I don't think this is going to happen. Obviously, it won't happen because he's not going to drop down to us and his wages will be a mazine. But I think that is a guy that fits the profile of a left centre mid. And that would be, if I had a choice, it would either be him or it would be Camavinga because Camavinga is another one who obviously people notice him for his physical, but technically he's also fantastic as well. So those would be my two shots. I'm going to propose a question to you, man. So Basuma obviously is a top tier physical player, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Who would be the equivalent level in terms of level of player of him from a technical perspective that's not quite physical? Who would you think? Because I think he's better than Tielemans as a physical player. I wouldn't say they're the same level. Like, who would you say is the same level as him? Like,
but technically, that's not at a top club, or
no, that included at a top club. It can be at a top club. It can be anywhere.
What? So, like, what? That's not as physical, but it's as good
not
technically.
It's technically cold, but not a physical player.
That's an interesting one.
Would you say Gundogan? Similar level.
Gundogan's very cold, but Gundogan now is getting older. But Gundogan's been able to cover ground, like
he has. But now it's a bit of a difficult thing. So my point is, if you put Gundogan as a left in our team, and you put Basuma in our team, we will be a much better team with Basuma than we would with Gundogan.
With this current version,
this current team, right now.
I think Gundogan.
What you're saying, this current version of Gundogan, I'd agree. If you told me Gundogan like 3 years ago, I would disagree.
Yeah.
I would disagree. I would take a Gundogan 3 years ago over the current version of Basuma.
But the reason I say Gundogan now is because he was a world class player before.
Yeah.
I don't think Basuma's of that level. So I was trying to equate it for levels because then, like, if you say, Gundogan 3 years ago, I'd probably be using someone like TouchyGooners or something like that. Do you know what I mean?
Lads, I've got the solution.
No, don't say
that.
Bring back Danny Ceballos.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew this guy was going to say that, bro. I just knew this guy.
Solution, lads. The solution.
To be honest, Leroy, I think that's actually a good answer to your question. Like, on the other extreme, like, I think technically Ceballos
is very good.
He's probably very, very good without any of the physical attributes. And we've seen him left eight. We've seen him left eight in the Europa League. And I think it's like an Arsenal famous meme, where my man is doing a madness on the pitch and there's about 9 accounts in a row screaming, get Ceballos off the pitch. Do you get me? Yeah. So,
Do you know
I
what
agree.
though? Do you know what? Just to chime in, lads.
Lewis, let me pause you here, yeah?
Go on.
If you try and do Ceballos prop, I'm going to take you off the stream.
Listen, you lot are too disrespectful of Ceballos. The Champions League winning, put some respect on it.
Oh god.
Hey, you know what? Like, Ceballos, yeah. If we look at Ceballos and then we put someone in the team, like that the other Brighton midfielder, like Casado or something.
I said that he's very good though. He's very good.
But
And then
Ceballos is a good player. But we'd be a better team in this team if we put Casado in this team than if we put Ceballos in this team.
Hey, I think that's one to watch, to be honest. Obviously, Olo has been gassing him for a long time, but I watched him the last sort of two. I've been watching the last sort of 2-3 Brighton games. He's a very good player, man. Very, very press resistant as well. He's almost like a mini Basuma, to be honest. But I think he's probably he's got a bit more going forward. So I think that's one to watch because he's only 20 years old. So I think definitely put a pin in that one because I think he'll probably have a big move in him in a couple seasons as well, man. But,
another example would be like someone like Trossard, maybe. I think Trossard's very good.
Winger? More of a winger though than a.
Doesn't he play midfield for Brighton?
He sort of flicks between two. Yeah.
Or a Podence.
Lubob, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks. I've just been listening to you lot jabber on.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. It was a nice natural gap for you to join into there. So, Lewis, so we've been talking about midfield, right? So, let's get your opinion now, right? What's your ideal? What's your ideal type of signing that you think we need for that left 8 position?
I don't know. I'm not convinced. I heard you guys talk a bit about our structure and apparently, saying there's nothing wrong with our structure. I disagree. I don't think we can say that our structure is like unflappable when we take one player out of the team. And granted, don't get me wrong, Partey is a top player, but I don't think we should collapse in the way that we did if one player comes out of that system. I don't think that's indicative of a good system.
But sorry, Lewis, I'll let you carry on. But for me, I think that's more a personnel issue rather than than a structural flaw, because what we're basically saying is that you take Partey out and you put El Neni in. El Neni just can't do the same things that Partey can. Do you know what I mean? And that's, bearing in mind, that's the manager's fault. I'm not defending that.
It's
Sean,
true.
What I would say back to that though is that Partey was basically playing at a world-class level.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if your system requires this guy to be playing at a world-class level every
Is it that
week,
good?
Like surely it can't be that great, right? Because
I
think he played against Crystal Palace as well, right? And we got blamed.
Sure, but that's that. So, but that can happen because that was one game out of how many?
I've seen Man City's midfield get blamed. So it can be in like one game.
It can happen. Like, but what I'm saying is, cool. Partey was playing at a world class level before that injury, 100%. But what I'm even saying is, even if you say take out the 9 out of 10s he was having, if you say a 6, 7 out of 10, bro, that's higher than Mohamed El Neni's highest level. Just because the fact of the matter is, El Neni cannot sidestep pressure like Partey can. He doesn't pam the ball through the lines consistently like Partey can. We spoke about in that December to March period, that right-hand connection, Partey into Odegaard into Saka. It broke at the moment because, El Neni just couldn't replicate. So what I'm saying is, and this is where I'll come back to the structure thing, Lewis, is that I don't think it's wrong. It's just that you need to have greater pieces so that, when players, because inevitably players will always get injured, so that when players do get injured, you could still replicate. And this is the issue, we can probably get onto it, with Tini. Tini has ruined our running 2 seasons in a row because, he's gotten injured and we've not had a solution yet. The solution we've tried 2 seasons in a row was to move Xhaka out of position to left back, and that ruined then what happened in centre mid. You know what I mean? So for me, it's a case of equalising the quality, all around the squad. For me, there's too much of a disparity between the good players and the shit ones. Do you know what I mean? So
Mm.
that's why for me it's not as much of a structural issue, because if you had a good left back who was nearly as good as Tini, then you wouldn't see such a dip. Do you know what I mean? So and I don't think, and yeah, so that's kind of my rebuttal to it.
When you have exceptional players, there will always be a massive dip with backups, unless you're Man City and you've got Emirati money and you can spend stupid amounts on squad. Even if you're Liverpool, you're going to have a massive dip between Robertson and in the left back cover. You're going to have a massive dip between Trent and the right back cover. You're going to have a massive dip between Fabinho and whoever's replacing him, Salah, Mane. It will happen unless you've got City money. It will always happen. You just have to have. They just have to be competent, and that's it. But then that is the coach's job to be able to have backup solutions, because if you're right, literally the whole system is reliant on Partey, because only Partey can do what Partey can do in that role. And the problem is Arteta didn't realize that and tried to play the same structure without Partey. It's like only Partey can do that. He's the only one who can do that in our team, at least. So as soon as he's out, he needs to change it. He needs to go through a double pivot. And that's just, he took too long to recognize that and realize that. And that's the fault of him at the end of the day. But in terms of having backups that are close to your starters, it doesn't happen in any team with semi-decent money.
I do agree, but to the same point, we've just mentioned like someone like Caicedo at Brighton, right? I've watched Brighton play without Bazuma this season. Their structure don't change. Doesn't seem to be a great drop-off. And we talk about Bazuma as being this, a player that's ready to move to like a top Premier League team. That's why I say I think maybe we've still got some issues structurally if we're that reliant on Partey, but other teams seem to be able to get by with injuries. Like, I think maybe there's something wrong with us then, because if it all falls to shit, because, we went from Partey to Lokonga, and obviously Lokonga came in, didn't do the job, and then to El Neni. If other teams can deal with quality drop-offs, why can't we?
I think it's about knowing your players as well, though, right? I think it's about knowing your players, and I think a lot of our issues this season have come with asking players to do certain things that they're not quite equipped for, and I think that's probably a big issue for me, is that you look at that Tottenham game, right? If I tell you we're going to ask a centre back to play high and sort of beat up Son's backside, of the centre backs that we have, you would say Rob Holding is the last one that you want to be doing that job. Yeah. If I say to you, we've got a fullback, we want them to sort of be a lockdown defender and stop Sessegnon getting forward, Cedric would be the last fullback of the team that we have to do that job, and I think Arteta is asking a lot of some of these guys who we all know do not have the minerals, do not have the technical quality, do not have the ability to perform some of these roles. And the result is what you get, right? So we've seen El Neni, we've seen him for 6 seasons now. This is a guy we sent on loan at age 27 to Turkey because we couldn't get a team in the top 5 leagues to come and take him. So now if you're asking him to come in now and do the Partey thing on, we need you to come in, beat 2 men, spray it forward between the lines.
It's crack.
That's ridiculous. Do you know what I mean? Right? Lokonga, granted, none of us watched him before this season, but we saw him a little bit under pressure early in the season. We saw him under the lights at Anfield. He didn't really look the part, let's say. We put out a tweet early in the season, is this guy even better than Guendouzi, this, that, and the other, right? These men see him in training and all this, so maybe they see more than us. But if you asked any of us, are we going to put Lokonga in that 6 role and play Xhaka on one side and Ødegaard on the other side? I don't even think we played Xhaka on that side. I think we played Xhaka left back actually, and then we played Smith Rowe on the left centre mid. And you said that midfield after we watched Lokonga and for the first 6 weeks of the season, and we said, is this going to work? What all of us would have said, no, this is not going to work. Do you know what I mean? So, I think like Arteta needs to be a bit quicker at evaluating the players that he has at his disposal and not putting them in uncomfortable positions, because I do think there's enough there, as we saw in some of these games, that Cedric can do a job, Rob Holding can do a job if he's playing to his strengths. Rob Holding, before that Tottenham game, I think did an admirable job for us this season because he was being asked to come in and play the middle centre back in a deep block and head everything out, right? Why are you now? Why are you,
loves it.
Do you know what I mean? And it's a meme 5-3-2 Rob Holding because that's where he's comfortable, right? Now, why are you asking him to now start playing high and trying to win the ball on the halfway line against players? That's never been his game. That's not his game. He should never be asked to do that. So I think it's there is an element with other teams when other teams get injured, right? We adapt to the players that we have. We can't do the same thing. And I think that is something that where we've fallen down this season, that, we've seen it, but it's taken us 3 losses on a bounce before we can finally admit that, right, maybe we need to change it up a little bit. And I think that's where we fell down personally. So, yeah.
Can I say one thing quickly?
Mm.
Yo, in the comments, Ahmed, mashallah, brother, but I will not take any Eddie Nketiah slander. This is an Eddie Nketiah Stan podcast. We will not have fucking drama. So I would like you to remove his name from that comment, please.
Hey, bro, listen, did you see
for
his
people
Twitter
listening
post,
on
bro?
Spotify, the comment says top gooners are gassed that Nketiah and El Neni sign new contracts. They'll be the same ones who complain in January when we're off the pace. But look,
when Eddie gets fucking 15 goals all comps next season and he goes on a Harry Kane like spurt,
listen,
listen,
Dr. Leroy, I'm gonna let you talk about Eddie now. Actually, I'm gonna let you talk about Eddie because we've spoken about midfield, but let's speak about striker. So actually, I put out a tweet earlier this week to talk about the striker situation, and I gave people the option because it looks, for all intents and purposes, Ornstein said Eddie's close to signing. Gonna blog all of these, man. Eddie's close to signing, and it looks like Gabriel Jesus is our number 1 striker target to come in. So it looks like those two are going to be our 2 strikers. So I asked the question, like, how do people feel about those 2 being our 2 strikers, etc., etc. I'm personally very comfortable with Eddie being one of our strikers. I'm very, very comfortable with that. I think that we saw a big step forward from him before these last 8 games or whatever that he started. So I don't think it's just a purple patch. I thought we saw this leap from potentially pre-season. But what I would say is he's not really had the platform to really showcase it. But my main sort of umbrage was with the Jesus signing, if we're keeping Nketiah. Not that I think that they're very similar strikers. I do think they're quite different profiles, etc., etc. But I just worry about Jesus' goal record. So I'll start with you, Dr. Lee, so you can do some Eddie prop. But then, talk to me how you feel about Nketiah and Jesus being our main strikers.
Firstly, I'd like to say, Ahmed, I'd like to accept your apology. God bless you. And I'm glad you've seen the light. Now, I have always been a fan of Eddie. I feel like Eddie Nketiah is a goal scorer. Now, he may have a limited game, I should say, but I feel that he's got goals in him. And I've always said strikers mature quite late in their development. Unless they're the phenoms, you don't see strikers really hitting their stride until around the age of 25. And for someone who has literally banged at every single level of football he's played for, not just banged, record level banging, like he's been really elite at that level. You haven't even given him time to grow into his man body. You haven't given him time to adjust into the senior game. You haven't even given him any opportunities to get any rhythm because he's got no minutes. It's completely unfair to say Eddie can't do it. And I feel that even in the glimpses he's shown, when Eddie's come on, even when he came on like as a 17-year-old, 18-year-old under Wenger at Norwich in the Carabao Cup, you can see Eddie Nketiah is about his goals and you can see the potential in him. All he needs is an opportunity. And I really feel, this is going to sound nuts and someone's going to clip this, yeah? I'm going to say it, fuck it. Someone's going to clip this. And if they do clip it, then it's peak, right? But I feel that we're going to sign Jesus and Eddie is going to outdo him and be our number 1 striker.
Hey, Giova.
Do you know what? Do you know what, Leroy? Yeah. Do you know what, Leroy? I don't think that's a mad shout personally.
I feel that Eddie is gonna bang. I just feel it. I felt it since he was a kid.
I don't think the thing is, I don't think that's the maddest of shouts, because I'm looking at it, right, and I'm a bit scared about Jesus being our number one striker, because I'm looking at his goal record at Man City. So this season, the majority of his starts, so he's played on the right wing a lot. Majority of his starts have come up front, and in the Premier League, he scored in 5 games. In 21 starts. Yeah, he only scored in 5 games. And 2 of the games that he scored was, after the Arsenal links came out and he bagged that 4, like the weekend after. And then the next weekend, the next game week, he scored again, right? So that's 5 of his 8 goals in the league came after he was linked with Arsenal, yeah, in those 2 games. So in his other 19 starts, he had 2 goals. Not 2 goals, 3 goals, sorry. Yeah. In 19 starts before his name was put in the papers, etc., etc. So, we were talking about Isak and spending 75 million on this guy, etc. But Gabriel Jesus, we've seen him live and direct for the past 2 seasons. He scored 8 goals in the league, with 5 of those goals coming in 2 games this year. And the season before, I think he scored 9 goals in the league. And this is playing for Man City, who are, by all intents and purposes, the team that creates the most chances in the division. Yeah. So I get that he's 25. He wants to be the main man. He started on the right wing a little bit, this, that, and the other. But is that someone whose goal record you have 100% faith in, that they're going to, come here and smash it? Or are they going to have to do something that we basically haven't seen for... And to be fair to him, when he first joined Man City, his goal scoring record was much better. I think he scored 14 and 23 in his first full season at Man City, when Arteta was the assistant coach. But his scoring record for the past couple of seasons has not been great. So I would not be surprised if Eddie does end up being the number one striker. I genuinely wouldn't be.
I don't agree with you, man. Not that I'm trying to write off Eddie.
I didn't think you would.
No. I do you know what it is? And do you know what? Dan's facts, I can't even argue with them. The facts are the facts. But I don't know what it is, yeah. But there's something about Jesus. Like, I just feel it that in my spirit that this spread is gonna bang, bro. Like, I just do. Like, I really do. And there are certain things that I really, really do like about him. Just the fact that he's very direct. So, Leroy mentioned earlier, in terms of athleticism, Jesus is very fast. He eats up ground quickly. He's a good ball carrier, good dribbler, and he gets his shots off. He gets loads of shots off in games as well, man. So I don't know, man. Maybe, obviously, I take it into account. I can't argue with it. The numbers are the numbers, innit? But I do feel like he gives me, like, I don't know, man. Yeah, I'm basing it off theory rather than anything tangible. Do you know what I mean? But I wouldn't be upset if he becomes the main striker. I think he could do really, really well here as the main guy. But all that said, when you do decide to go with Jesus and Eddie, there are 2 things. Firstly, I do get the concerns that maybe there's not enough variety in your striking options, and when I mean that, I'm talking about, obviously, it's always good to have a reference point, and not that Jesus and Eddie can't be reference points, but a big 6 foot plus reference point. Guy you can swing crosses into. So I understand, the concerns there, and maybe, we don't have enough variety there. And it also means for me that if we do sign Jesus, we need to go out and get a top wide goal scoring option. 100%. I think that is non-negotiable. I think we needed 2 forwards in the summer anyway, whether that was going to be 2 strikers. Obviously, it looks like Eddie's signing now, so we're going to get 1. But we also need to get a wide forward, 100 million %. If we only went into the season with just Jesus, I think that would be very, very poor. And I don't think that does enough to move us anywhere. Obviously, for all of us, Gnabry's the dream. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I would feel a lot more confident if next season we lined up with Gnabry, Jesus, Saka as a front 3. I'd be very, very confident in that.
Just on this comment from Ahmed as well, about having potential, but he would have shown more.
Is that Eddie or Jesus he's talking about?
I think he's talking about
Eddie.
Okay.
Personally, I don't think he's played enough, and I genuinely don't think he's played enough. I think he definitely. The thing is, I think it's sort of a catch-22 because I think the improvements in his game that we've seen this season have come from not going on loan and working with the manager on his first touch, on his link-up play, on his back-to-goal play, which I don't think he really had in his toolbox previously. But I think in terms of his goal scoring instincts, maybe some of his movement, he would have benefited from going on loan. And for me, the thing that I've always said is I don't see a massive difference in ability between Tammy Abraham and Eddie Nketiah, right? And if anything, for me, Eddie's the one that's got the under 21 goal scoring records. Eddie's the one that's got, some of these key goals in crucial games when he's like, as Leroy mentioned against Norwich, he comes on for his debut, scores 2 to send us through. I was so gassed that day when that happened, and I think people are now talking about Tammy Abraham as this £80 million player, but the difference is he went on 2 loans to the Championship when Eddie stayed here. Do you get what I mean? Right, that was and his 2 loans to the Championship was after a loan in the Premier League with Swansea as well, right? So I look at it by 23 years old, that I think Eddie is now. Tammy had already gone on 3 club loans before he was even given a chance at Chelsea. Where he scored the 15 league goals or whatever. And I think people when they talk about Tammy Abraham, they do this. I think they need to look very deeply into those 15 league goals, right? None of them were against the top 4, and I think they came in about 11 games or something like that, right? When he's in it, and I think he started 25 plus games that season. So if you're looking at Tammy's record and you're telling me that Tammy Abraham's the guy that we need to go and spend £80 million on, and you're turning your nose up at Eddie, I think you need to look again, right? Because I'm telling you, Eddie Nketiah, watch out for this boy. I'm on Dr. Lee.
Come on, Eddie fucking fan club. Let's go.
Let's go.
Do you guys think that Eddie and Jesus are like quite similar?
I don't think so.
I feel that they not they're quite similar in terms of how they play, but they both lack the same things.
That's fair.
So when you want differences in your strike force, you're not going to get it from either of them.
I think just in regards to the sign of Jesus, I definitely understand your skepticism, Dan. I think when you look at Jesus's time at Man City, there can be like parallels drawn to Eddie. Obviously not to the same extent, because we do see Jesus is starting a lot of games, right? But they until this season, they have been in like fits and spurts. He doesn't really get sustained periods of time playing as a striker. He's played as a winger before mainly. So I do think there's like parallels to be drawn with like game time with Eddie. Obviously, Gabby's 4 years older than Eddie, so he's definitely had a lot more time. But
2 years.
Is it just 2 years older?
Yeah, because Eddie's 23, isn't he?
Yeah, he just turned 23.
Oh, wow,
He just turned 23, yeah. So
I thought Eddie was still like 21. But yeah, either way, I think there could be like parallels drawn that they've never really nailed down a spot anywhere. The last time Gabby was the main man, right, was in Brazil for Palmeiras when he was before Man City, so probably about 19 years old.
I think he's 17.
He was even younger, right? And he guided Palmeiras to, you can say Brazilian league, whatever, right? But listen, this guy, when he was coming through, he was the guy. He guided Palmeiras to their first league title, and God knows when.
Did you hear the Tim Stillman piece on that? He said basically he was just basically saying, he was like, he first came through as a winger in his like half season, then the next season when he was like 17, 18, the manager put him up front. He was the top goal scorer and they won the league. That was basically it with him. So
exactly. So I think he's shown, like, as I said, we need to compartmentalize these things a little bit, because it's not directly translatable to the Premier League, right? But if you're 17 years old and you know you've done that before when you were the main man, I think he's got something in his like character, in his like mentality that, you know, potentially could, you know, see him really prosper in this role as being the main nine. You know, and we see him, he is hungry about his goals. I know the stats didn't look great that Dan said, like, you know, they're indefendable, like really they're indefensible. So I can't talk much on those, but I think generally speaking at City, I was never, you know what, you see, when City signed Jesus, I was actually I wasn't that big of a fan. I remember having like debates with Dan Soff about it. I never was really a huge fan of Gabby in Brazil, but I've been more impressed with him the more I've seen him at Man City, and you know, he scored 100 goals for Man City. You know, well, almost 100 goals for Man City. He's got, you know, over 100 goals in his career. He's 25 years old. You know, like Leroy said, I think this could be a guy on the cusp of exploding, given his chance. And I think he just needs to be given that main guy status again, and maybe we can see him replicate stuff that he did in Brazil. In regards to Eddie, I'm a big fan of Eddie, man. I'm really happy we've signed him to a duo. I would like a bit more variety, but yeah, I've said all along that I want Eddie to sign.
When, brother, this is all news to me.
I'm sure Cougs and Leroy can testify to this.
I don't remember Lewis being very anti-Eddie.
That's what I'm saying. I don't remember Lewis being pro Eddie like this.
No, but I don't remember him being very anti-Eddie though, to be fair. So
Leroy, how long have I been saying to you that I want Eddie to sign?
I have to vouch for Lewis because I've known Lewis for a long time, and I think he's a big Eddie fan.
Yeah, wrong white person, man. Wrong white person. Just your mates in a bloody Harold Wood or wherever you live.
That's great. But now, do you know what? The thing about the Jesus signing is we've got to look at, and this is what we're saying in the group chat, we've got to look at the other options, yeah? And this is what we're saying because who else have we got? And we've got to look at who. I know there's worries about his goal scoring record, but there's no 30 signing out there that's available to Arsenal right now. Not one. All of
even people like Osherman, they talk about Osherman. He ain't a certified goal scorer.
100%. Osherman.
Actually, his league record is very good this season, by the way.
Isak.
14 in 27.
I think, do you know what it is?
But Gabby's had seasons like that, so
I think for me, if I'm gonna just put it out there, I would take Scamacca, man. I would back Scamacca to score more goals than Jesus.
See, that sounding stinks to me. It
stinks.
Are
you crazy?
Very smelly, man.
Have you guys watched him?
I've watched him. He looks good.
He actually looks good, but
Italian strikers scare me.
Italian strikers scare me. He's xenophobic, man. You man are sounding like Anton.
The thing is, Cougs, the thing is, yeah, Scamacca is 23, right? So you've criticized Gabby's goal scoring record. How many goals has Scamacca scored this season?
16.
No, he hasn't scored 16. Oh,
16 in the league, yeah.
All right, sorry. I'm even looking. Sorry. Right, okay, you pan me. I'm looking at. Why have you got the loans? I'm so angry at Wikipedia right now. They put his loans at the bottom.
They moved it around. Someone done this on Twitter with me. I think it was Lippy even done this on Twitter the other day, where they said he doesn't score. But then they were looking at the wrong line on the.
Yeah, I'm so angry at that. But prior to
this season,
though, he had scored what?
Do you know what it is with Scamacca?
8 goals, 9 goals.
Yeah, do you know what it is with Scamacca? Is when I've watched this guy, so I only sort of got onto this guy maybe like January, February time, and when I've watched him, so I made not a conscious decision, but if I see he's playing a big game, so I think I watched him against Inter, I think I watched him against Bologna. And there was another game in there as well that I watched him that. I look at this guy, and if you actually just list the attributes that you want from a forward, where, right, do they run in behind? Are they pacey? Yes. Is he big? Is he powerful? Is he strong? Yes. His ball striking is something that I've never seen. Well, not that I've never seen, but it's top level. Yeah. That he just blams it, you know, from long range, short range, that when he hits it, it stays hit. Good in the air as well. So I'm looking at it and I'm just looking profile wise. This guy actually has everything that you want from a striker, runs the channels, holds off defenders, good link up, good technically, great ball striking. So I'm looking at this, I'm just saying, like, why would I not sign this guy? And this season, he's actually put up numbers. So I think before, the teams that he's playing with, I can't say that I've watched him before. I'm just going to... Everything right now I'm saying is purely hypothetical. I'm looking at this. Yeah, he's 21, he's 22. Leroy, you said, strikers, unless you're one of these, phenoms, your numbers don't really come through 100%. Until you're 23, 24 kind of thing. So I'm looking at it and I'm saying, look, this guy looks like he can be a top shooter. The same way that, we're looking at Vlahovic. Obviously, Vlahovic was doing the crazy numbers. But we're looking at Vlahovic and we're saying, like, yeah, this guy looks serious. I'm looking at Scamacca and saying, yeah, this guy looks serious. So the numbers really worry me about Jesus. That's why I just can't get fully behind it. The numbers really worry me.
Someone who's scored 100 goals in 200 games, their numbers are worrying you.
Mate, he's playing for Man City, man.
This is the point. He's doing this in the Prem. No tax. There's no tax. He's got 30 accountants. Scamacca is fucking in Serie A with the fucking exchange rate 3 to fucking 1. Big taxes out there.
But yeah, no, I think overall it's hard because the main overarching point is that there is no certified option, and even if there was a certified option, they're either A, not going to come to Arsenal, or B, they're too expensive. Do you know what I mean? Like, as someone who's an Osimhen fan, he's not worth 100 million. That's just point blank. Like, he's just not worth that money. So for me, that's a no. Who's the other one? Darwin Núñez. They're even saying 150 million for that guy. And believe me,
what?
If we do that,
what?
I will fucking riot. I will
150 M's.
Brother, listen, that guy has not moved me. I know that's Shabs' boy, but listen, I don't like that, Don.
Listen, I will go and grab Edu by his singlet and take him out of him and flog him in public myself.
Right. Who else? Tammy. Obviously I like Tammy, but again, 80 million is stupid considering what they were going to accept. Chelsea were going to accept like 30 mil last summer. That would just be stupid. And I also agree with Cougs. When you've got Eddie, I don't see the point in going to buy Tammy. It doesn't make any sense. So who else? What were the other options? Scamacca. I actually agree with that. I actually like his profile, but I've never seen an Italian striker translate to the Prem. That's why I'm literally that one.
There's time for everything, though.
Yeah, there is, but boy, who else? I think that's it. I mean, Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I ain't speaking about that, Don. I'm not speaking about it.
So they're saying Núñez is unprofessional.
Why is he DCL, I do not want anything to do with him. I don't want anything to do.
He's played himself out of any big move anyway.
Yeah,
he's played
himself. And Isak is a baller, and I've always been a fan of Isak. But brother, I can't defend 5 league goals this season. You were absolutely taking the piss, bro.
6.
5.
He got 6. He got 6.
He got 6 in the end.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I think Scamacca.
He hit the bar like 4 times in one game. I saw.
But I watched games where he didn't even have a shot, bro. So,
yeah, do you see Isak? He blams it though. When he strikes it, he like it's a proper strike. You know what I mean? Now, I think Isak, if he moved to a top club, I can see him like properly exploding. But for the price that they're saying, it's probably too much of a risk for us to take.
Again, it's too much money. So I think that's why I feel like, as much as at the moment it just looks like Jesus is the best value for money signing.
I don't know who you
can't have
call,
RuPaul up front. Who's RuPaul?
I'm actually in Leroy's camp with who I think we should try a cheeky attempt for this summer, and that's Vlahovic.
Yep, do it.
Because I see Scamacca. I see Scamacca as the Vlahovic replacement for Juve.
Yep.
So
no money. I think they'll do it.
Oh, they're calling DCL RuPaul. I see that.
Lewis, I'm with you though. Lewis, I would go to them and say 80 million euros. I'll go get a loaner and say up front, here you go.
Yeah. Go cop Scamacca. Go cop Scamacca. Let him be your Italian star boy.
What are you saying? I'll just literally say it.
And then
Vlahovic, I'm going to give him a briefcase under the table.
Yeah.
isn't it so crazy how he was like slapping Fiorentina and he's gone to Juve and the goals have just they've just dried. I mean,
Have they
Allegri's
actually dried up?
no, bro,
Allegri ball.
he's Allegri tax. But
Man's
yeah,
crying on
bro,
the bench.
he has not scored a lot at Juve, bro.
I
He
mean,
started
throwing
well.
balls down like
He
Wenger,
scored
bro.
7-15. Like, is not scandalous. That's still more than Lacazette's got all season.
Bro,
So-
No, bro.
let's not even talk about that guy, man.
7-15. Eddie's. Let me just say now, Eddie's got a better goals to game ratio in the league. You get me? Yeah. So,
Yeah, so I've done that.
yeah.
Hey, now let's sign Vlahovic, get him on the bench for Eddie, and then like
Oh my god, these guys, man.
I would be more tempted to go for a Vlahovic type anyway, because like I said, I think Gabby, even though I'd like Gabby a lot, I think Gabby and Eddie are quite similar. In terms of maybe more so in terms of their limitations. And I think someone like Vlahovic is just a different option entirely, but still gives you some of Gabby and Eddie's best qualities. So I'd be more tempted to go for someone with a different profile than Gabby. But if we are obviously offering Eddie a contract and making him the number 2. But yeah, Vlahovic, I don't know who else is out there. The thing is, there'll be another striker this season. We'll see 10 games in the season. Someone's going to slap it up. And, we were saying the same thing last season. Oh, who's the strikers? Who's the strikers? And then Vlahovic comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, there's always someone new. There's always someone new. But the issue is we can't wait. We have to act this summer. So we have to hope that whoever we take a punt on has to be a success. And essentially, this is what Arteta's going to be defined and judged on. Do you know what I mean? This is going to be the first summer where he's going to sign at least one forward. So he has to deliver because, the excuse he could have before was that he inherited 170 million pound strike force that he wasn't really keen on. And cool, like you could be like, you know what, fair enough, they weren't your signings in it. But now whoever he signs, he's going to get blamed if they don't bang. So whoever he decides to put money on, at the end of the day, for me, and I'm sure we've got bare time this summer to have these discussions anyway. Like after the next season, that would have been 3.5 years in a job. Like he's got for me, the pressure has to be on him heavy next season, bro.
3.5 years is longer than I think that's longer than the average manager gets in any job.
And the thing is, he would have been backed more than any manager recently because he spent 250 mil already since he's been in the job. The likelihood is that he will spend at least another 100 mil. At least because if they're talking Jesus is going to cost like 50 M's, yeah. So that's so they're definitely going to spend over 100 M's this summer again. So by the end of next season, you could be looking at Arteta spent 350 mil since he's been 400 minimum 400 mil since he's been at Arsenal. If he does not deliver for me, top 4 and the trophy next season, that guy needs to go and pack his bags, bro. Because
I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, I generally thought next season we were going to be experiencing Champions League ball.
Bro,
the devastation that I felt after that Newcastle game was.
I can't relate it.
Something else, bro.
Listen, if that guy brings Teletubby into our team, and I see that you waddling around the middle of the pitch, I'm on him like a rash. I'm on him like a growing rash. Because
Tielemans signing, you need to get to grips with that now. Tielemans signing,
he's coming, man.
I will be fuming.
I'm not mad at it.
We lost Guendouzi for 10 million euros to buy Tielemans for fucking 30.
But Tielemans is a lot better than Guendouzi.
No, he's not.
I don't think there's a major difference.
No, I'm joking. I don't think there's a huge difference. I don't think there's a huge difference.
I don't think there's a major difference, and
I think there is.
One was
I don't right because I think if you look at it right, there was games that I think even in was it just one season? I think Guendouzi won us 4 points by himself.
Yep.
No, but the thing is,
in his first
Leicester fans
season,
would argue that Tielemans has also done.
Bro,
I speak to Leicester fans. I went there. I speak to Leicester fans. They say he flips in and out of games. That he is gross in games.
But he has also won them games.
Listen, we're going to save this for the Tielemans Patreon piece.
I'm coming on that.
We're saving this for the Tielemans Patreon piece.
When is that? Let me put this date in my diary now.
Yeah, we're gonna have a Leicester fan on the pod to talk through this, and Lewis.
Yeah,
we're gonna get some clips. Yeah, as well.
I need to know what you guys want though.
Yeah,
I need that in my diary.
Yeah, so we're gonna do that.
If you want him blowing and in transition.
Defensive
I'm getting them
actions.
flicks.
Yeah, we need defensive actions. Yeah, we need
I'm,
that.
I'm going for the highest bidder, by the way. So whatever side gives me the most money, that's the way.
Hey,
to
Lewis,
see it.
don't worry, I've got you, Lewis.
We're going defensive actions. We're going best bits, and then we're going like maybe we'll talk offline. We'll talk offline.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, we'll save that. But let's move on to listeners' questions, right? Before we wrap up. And so there's quite a few questions. So let me go to the beginning. First one from SWVG Lord 1, right? Would Nuno Tavares be better as a wing back? Because I'm going to be real, we need someone like him since he brings the J.R. Smith effect of you have no idea what they will do, but when it works, you can't stop it.
Bro, listen, I can't lie to you. Yeah, right now, that brother needs a loan. I'm not trying to see him next season, bro. Well, to be fair, maybe like in Europa in it, but the issue is, yeah, I can't. Knowing that Tini's going to go down at some point next season, I'm not ready to rely on this man for a key stretch of games again. Do you know what I mean? Knowing that the manager himself didn't rely on this brother for a key stretch of games when it came to crunch this season, I need a new left back. I just need one. I need one, and I need someone who's I need someone who's close to the level of Tini. Because at the end of the day, what was that stat from Albinho? Tini has played 56% of league games since he's been at Arsenal. I think that's absolutely abhorrent, bro. Like I need a new left back, bro. I need someone, but especially considering how key Arteta uses Tini in build-up, bro. You cannot have this guy absent. And then Arteta is doing stuff like moving Xhaka left back, playing Tomiyasu left back, just rejigging holes, trying to fix one problem and then creating another four. No.
What's the crack with this Aaron Hickey guy? He's a left back, right?
I was just saying to Dan at the start of the pod, I saw him, he was playing for Scotland tonight against Ukraine, but he played right wing back.
He's never going to play left back for them, man, innit? They got Tierney, Robertson, so
yeah. So he looked just a bit green.
But if he's a left back, though,
he's a left back. You can play both sides.
What's happening then with that? Like
we said it just. I don't think he's signed. I don't even know how much interest we have in him. Italian
I thought it was done.
No, Dan, say none of the English reporters have reported.
So literally, Ornstein's not mentioning it. Watson's not mentioning it. Wheatley's not mentioning it. It's literally.
But is that always a good parameter?
It's always calciomercato.com, innit? Do you know them? You know them.
Some of these dodgy Italian sources, but
it's a bit shaky, that one. I think, to be honest, it might be like
Dan trusts their strikers, but not their media. I don't know. It's,
mate, I just go with what I can see, man. I just go with what I can see. That's it.
Oh, fair enough. I quite like Tavares. Yeah. Well, okay.
I think he's underrated, man. I think he's underrated.
Do you
think he's underrated?
He's not underrated, but see, Tavares, as soon as I saw him,
it's a racism thing.
I thought this guy shit.
Do you really think that?
I thought this guy shit.
Well, even from us lot?
I did generally. I think it's an unconscious bias thing. Yeah, do you know what I mean? Right. So if you man haven't done your workplace training on unconscious bias, all of you need to go do that. Yeah, because this is a real thing, right? Because so I was at the United match at home. Yeah, I was drinking this, that, and the other. So I was just going with the flow. I was just going with vibes, innit? So when this guy fucks up, this guy's fucked up. I was doing that, and then this other guy fucks up, and yeah, the crowd likes him, so they don't really complain that much, right? So I came back and I watched the United match, completely sober, with my full wits about me. And that first half, Tavares, he was calm. Obviously, he scored the goal, and he was fine. Right, there was balls passed in behind him with Ilanga, but I don't think that was his fault. And if not for his pace, I think Ilanga probably would have left other left backs behind, right? So I think he did kind of well to keep over him. Maybe he got away with a couple of penalties in that game or not. Obviously, he gives away the penalty with the handball. That's ridiculous. I can't defend that. That's just ridiculous. That's stupidity, right? But the thing that I found like very, very interesting is that Cedric was 100% our worst defender that day, right? He gave the ball away about 3-4 times to put us under pressure. Gave the ball away for the goal that we conceded, the Ronaldo goal, eventually, and he put Ramsdale under pressure so many times in possession. But he doesn't get the same criticism. So for me, Cedric and Tavares, I think, if anything, I think Cedric's a worse player for us because I get it. Tavares is not good on the ball, and it's obvious when he's not good on the ball because everyone's watching him. They're expecting him to make a mistake. And when he passes it to the opposition or, he puts a teammate under pressure, it's obvious because everyone's like holding their breath when he gets the ball. But Cedric does the exact same stuff. He puts teammates under pressure. He plays shit balls. He plays shit crosses. Takes set pieces that are fucking whack. Yeah. Puts the goalkeeper under pressure as well. And he doesn't get anywhere near the same stick. And I even see it in the Athletic when they say, the manager is pleased with Cedric's contribution as a backup. And I'm like, that should be impossible. Because if you man are watching the tapes of this guy, he's whack. He is whack, right? So we beat Leicester. We beat Leicester 2-0. The only opportunities that Leicester had, Cedric is fucking playing man on side. It's a joke thing.
He's terrible.
He is terrible.
In defense of Tavares as well, right? And I'm not saying I would keep him around for next season. I just wanna give him a little bit more time. And Tavares, let me just double check this.
So when you're saying more time,
5 games for Benfica in the top flight over 2 seasons.
I hear you. So are you guys saying when Tierney goes down for a stretch, you guys are happy to rely on my man?
I'll give it him.
Yeah. I've actually changed my mind on this. So when I first watched him, I thought this guy's whack, and I said it to all you man in the chat. Then he went on a good run, and I had to kind of hold it for a little bit, which was fine. But when I actually have come away from the season, I've looked at it objectively and I've thought about it. In the same way Lewis said, he's very green. He's not played that much senior ball. He's very young. He has so many raw attributes to work with. That is, if you were to mold a fullback in terms of what raw attributes would I put, Tavares would have it. And I feel like he can improve. I feel like he just needs to be extensively and vigorously worked with. And now we've got the Europa League rather than the Champions League. I think that's a perfect breeding ground to do it. I would definitely give him another year, maybe 2 years, and see where he's at, because even at that point, we could still shot him and make a profit. He was worth nothing. Now, I just feel like the problem is we played Tierney into the ground in games where we didn't need to play Tierney. And Arteta's got to be selective with Tierney's games. Pick him for the hard games. When it's the easy games at home, play Tavares. Give him minutes. That's what I think we need to do. So I'm actually not keen, but I'm actually cool with keeping Tavares as our backup left back going into next season.
Yeah, I'm not mad at it, man. I definitely agree with the point that Dan, you've got to go, right? You're on mute. You're on mute.
I'm gonna. Yeah, I've got to go, but I'm gonna leave my
I'll wrap
so
things up.
You can end the broadcast now. Yeah, cool.
Just as long as when Tierney goes down, Arteta doesn't play Tavares for 1-2 games, then decide he doesn't trust him again, and dashes into the side.
That's what
because then if you're gonna say like keep him around and play him, boom. But Arteta did that, played him for 1 or 2 games, then dropped him, then decided to rejig the whole defense, and the team and the structure suffered as a result because he was moving personnel around, trying to fix one problem and creating other problems elsewhere, which I don't support as well. So if you're going to play him and you're going to believe in molding him through the good and bad times, you need to stick with him when he's shit.
100%.
Yeah, definitely. But I feel like, again, that was exactly what we were talking about before, with Arteta trying to use a replacement to do exactly what the first team was doing, that he's not capable of doing it. Because Tierney, at the time he was replaced, was playing that inverted role because Tommy was out. He tried to get Tavares to do the same thing, and it's not going to work. When he put Tavares back in the team, he let Tavares play more like a natural fullback, and it worked for him. So, again, this is management. It's kind of not the player's fault that you ask him to do something that he's not capable of.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Let's quickly run through some other questions. I'll try to get through them all. Baitface Nate. Big up Baitface Nate. He asks, what young players do you want to see given a chance next season, and who should be axed and sent on loan?
Amari Hutch.
Yeah, I'd like to see him. Whenever I look at Amari, I'm like, he looks like a special talent, but I don't know. Hasn't he agreed to go on loan to Reading?
There was rumors that he's going on loan to.
That,
there was rumors that he's going because his dad's apparently a scout at Reading, so there was rumors that he's going there. But I would like to see him. You know, for me, whenever I watched, he looks by far the most impressive one. He always impresses me every time I watch him. Now, obviously, and I share Leroy's concerns. He's a bit on the small side, so hopefully he can grow a bit more. But I like him, man. The guy can dribble, shoot well off either foot. Like, he just looks a threat every time I see him. And it would be nice to see, you know, someone who was a hyped kid from when he was like, you know, everyone saw that skill video he did when he was like, 6, 7, 8 years old. And like, for him to actually, you know, keep it up and make it all the way through, that would be sick. So yeah, I'd like to see him. I'd also like to see Brooke Norton-Cuffy in the Europa. I would 100% like to see him in that. And then maybe, you know, in Jan, depending on where we assess his level at, we can maybe send him on loan again. But because every review we saw from Lincoln fans, you know, this season was that, you know, 18-year-old, he was just mashing it up. He was mashing up, man, you know, big grown men up in League One. So it'd be good to get him in for, you know, assess his level in pre-season, maybe give him some Europa games. And then if we think we need to loan him out again in Jan, do so. But yeah, I like physically, I like the look of him. He looks great. And, you know, technically, he actually doesn't look bad either. So yeah, probably ones. So those would be the two I would like to see.
Yeah, Brooks very Jed Spency.
Yeah,
that kind of athletic. Yeah. He's got quite gangly as well. Got good ball skills. I like it. He looks like a decent player. I like that Salah-Ad-Din as well. Actually, he looks like he's got some useful skills.
That one's a tough one because I just don't know like how many, like if we're saying we're going to sign a midfielder and. You know, I don't know how many. I don't know how many youngsters are going to get a chance, man. Considering, you know, guys like Lukonga will need minutes in the Europa. So yeah, I don't know how many. If you're assuming, you know, guys like Lukonga and El Neni will be playing in Europa, how much room there is for like, you know, younger kids? Because if we're assuming, hopefully we sign a wide player as well. A guy like ESR falls into rotation. He will need minutes in Europa. Do you know what I mean? So. But it's good. It's what you want. You want a good competitive squad. So, but it means obviously not everyone will be able to get the minutes you want. So, and like I said, if we sign like Jesus, Eddie will be starting striker in Europe, and he will be getting all those minutes. So, yeah, man, you can't give it to everyone. And this is why, like, you know, yeah, that's why I don't want too many. I don't really want too many young players this summer anyway. I want us to be signing in between like the age bracket of like 24 to 27. You know, guys who are ready to come and do it now.
Yeah. Yeah, that Mika Berif, actually, we were talking about different profiles of striker. He would certainly offer something, but again, he's quite young. But he's someone who's been a shooter at all levels of youth football, similar to Eddie. So maybe he has potential to do something. Maybe, but also I would imagine him, Balogun, they would all go on loan again next year, right?
Balogun 100% needs to go on loan again. Yeah. He needs to play and play consistently for a full season.
Yeah. Okay. Here's one for you, Dr. Leroy. Alan Houston 90 says, "You guys still rate Ben White and Gabriel over Koscielny?" I hate when people say "you guys" like that.
You guys,
like everyone didn't disagree with Leroy.
Do you know what? I was gassed on that day, innit? But let me be real. I still think Gabriel was better than him. But Ben White, I was gassing. Okay. I think Gabriel is, but Ben White, I was gassing too much.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Fair enough. We can accept that.
Yeah.
Don Mikel 17 says this Zinchenko performance is moving me. How would you guys feel about him and another midfielder in and Xhaka out?
What is it? All these people talking like City girls. I don't understand. Like, what is it? I'm too old for this. This new generation, man said moving me and it's giving and all this kind of stuff, man. Fucking hell.
It's giving. I can't even.
Well, his name is Don Mikel 17. So.
No, I like Zinchenko, but I don't like. Yeah, the answer is like if he's coming in as a squad player, cool, but he shouldn't be like a starter.
Did we already answer this?
Yeah, we spoke about it earlier at the start.
If he's coming in to replace AMN and Maitland Niles in that kind of role, backup, fullback, backup, centre mid, fine. If he's coming in as our any significant proportion of midfield signing, absolutely not.
Okay. Fair enough. What about wait? Replace Oh, in midfield, you mean?
So
What about
Maitland,
Right,
Maitland
yeah.
Niles in terms of his utility role.
Right. Okay. I got you. Pesos 198 says, "Do you think we should go after world-class veterans like Di Maria and Lewandowski and put them on 2-year deals?
No.
We need
Don't
some
be-
experience in this team.
I
No.
hate them signings.
No.
I'll take Lewando.
Nah. Brother, this guy,
No.
we're just moaning about how we've just managed to clear our wage bill. We want to destroy it again. you need
With
to
a 34-year-old or
with a
35-year-old.
34-year-old. Yeah.
Lewand.
No. You need to be smart. Like just if those are the sort of gambles you make when your team is complete, not when you're trying to build a team to compete. So yeah,
We've tried this already and it failed.
Yeah. Basically, this is what we've all been trying, like since Wenger left, trying to shortcut our way back to the Champions League, and it didn't work. So you need to be coherent in your squad building strategy.
All right, Lewando.
No,
No.
not in a month of Sundays, mate.
Oh, guys, I don't know. Okay. Right. Okay. Sam E_91. He asks, "How do you solve a problem like Pepe? Arteta seems to be done with him, and his market value is an all-time low. What do we expect to become of him?"
You're gonna have to hope for some sort of loan with option or obligation, boy, because no one on the continent has money. So it's gonna be peak. So we're gonna have to hold it because we're not getting anything for him.
I said in the first season that we signed Pepe that he's going to run down his contract and leave on a free after several loans at the end of his contract, and I think I'll be right.
Certainly does look that way. That might be your biggest biggest W of all time.
Yeah, probably.
Unfortunately, at Arsenal's expense.
Yeah.
Okay, I really do rage. Big up you. How many managers in the league do you think are better than Arteta currently?
I don't want to talk about this shoot no more because he's upset me about all these links, so I don't really want to. Elamans, Zinchenko, I'm seeing that all these Fugazi links, and so it's making me upset. So I'm mad at him still.
Sean?
Right now, the way the season ended, I'm pissed off at the players. I'm pissed off at Arteta. Let me, I've not reached the stage of forgiveness yet in it, bruv. So, they need to repent. So let me come back in August after we've made our signings, and I'll see how I feel then, bruv. But right now, I don't want to talk about any of them, to be honest. So I want to talk about new signings.
I'll answer it. I think Arteta as a manager is very poor. I think Arteta as a coach has talent. I think there's two different. I think he's failed miserably at the management aspect of things in practically every area that he's been asked to be a football manager for us. But as a coach, I think he's done some decent things, and I think he has some potential. So I think there's some difference with the question maybe you're asking. Okay, Mr. H. Manoia. Do any of you think there's a PR at Arsenal that some of these tactic account bigging up Arteta because it's starting to get suspicious? We reckon Arteta's creating these accounts, yeah?
Nah, I've been under the suspicion that a lot of Arsenal Twitter are on the payroll still.
Yeah.
Some man are on the payroll. I'm not going to name no names, but certain man they're getting
I'll drink Arteta propaganda.
The tactical accounts wind me the F up, bro. Do you know what I mean? Like, brother, they'll be writing 30 threads, like 30 tweet threads of something that could just be said in like literally just one tweet, man. It's annoying, man. So anyway, whatever, man.
Lukey Tyler, can Edu be trusted to get new signings in at the start of the window? Or are we going to have to wait until the end of August for new players?
I don't.
It's a tough one, isn't it?
You see, Edu, his head will be on a block if I don't see anything. If I don't see good stuff by the end of this window, man. So
we got some early sign-ins last time, didn't we? We got Ben White done pretty early, I think. We got Tavares done early.
We got the unimportant ones done early because then we had to settle it.
Yeah.
Tomiyasu, who was our starting right back, Ramsdale was our starting goalkeeper, Odegaard, who was our starting. We didn't get them in till late after we had lost the first 3 games. So,
Yeah.
you know,
And
we
just winning one of those games would have
right.
well,
Exactly.
just beating Brentford would have got us top 4.
Basically,
When you put it like that, it's kind of crazy, isn't it?
We threw away our first 3 games, and we can't afford to start like that again this season in a World Cup year where fixtures are going to be heavily congested. And yeah, so he needs to sort it out, man. And you know, man said that our strategy is ready, so you need to get executed quickly. There's no Euros this summer, so there isn't an excuse, man. You need to get done.
AESCFOS. I don't know what that spells, but whatever. 10 out of 10 windows are a rarity. However, is Hickey, Gabriel Jesus, Zinchenko, Tielemans, and Gakpo as close as it gets with a Europa and not as close as it gets with Europa and not UCL? Do you think that's enough to quality? Do you think that's enough quality to fight for top 4 next season?
No. Like when you said 10 out of 10 window, what? Say that again.
I didn't really understand the questions. He said 10 out of 10 windows are a rarity. However, is the aforenamed players as close as it gets with Europa and not UCL?
What are the players? I just need to because
okay,
I'm not sure if I'm hearing this right.
Hickey, Jesus, Zinchenko, Tielemans, and Gakpo.
That is fucking abysmal. Are you sure? No, I'm sorry. That window is. I
only rate one of those players. I've never seen Gakpo. I've never seen Hickey. Zinchenko, I don't even really rate him.
That ain't enough to bridge the gap at all, man. That's not a good window whatsoever.
Yeah, I'm not too sure about that one. I think that'd just be more of the same, if I'm being honest. Okay, I think that's it. Were there any questions in the live chat? Maybe I've missed some. Don't think I saw any. No. Okay, no questions in the live chat. So we'll wrap it up there. I saw a question about Aaron Wan-Bissaka, but
you don't need to talk about my man.
Yeah, we don't need that. He's definitely not. But yeah, we'll call it a day there. Cougs, thanks for hosting. Sean, it's good to see you, mate. Dr. Leroy, good to see you too. We'll be back again next week with another pod. We'll find something to talk about, I'm sure, as the season dies down. And we've got the Tielemans Patreon piece coming as well. So if you aren't already subscribed, there's going to be so much Patreon content this summer. So, you know, it'll be well worth it for a couple quid just to get the extra Arsenal content. But if you're a cheapo and you like the free stuff, you know, we'll be back next week with a normal podcast. Take it easy, guys.
Peace.